something to drink real quick? Go
No,
for it.
absolutely. Go grab it.
Okay.
Yeah. Clays, it's pretty funny. You and I have been taking our glasses off and on for the last. We're like, do we look younger here? Or
I
I,
have I've tried many different types and colors, and I think they just all make me look older. Not
just
smarter,
read
not
us.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, Clavin, tell me about the U.S. Open. U.S. Open 2026. Uh, when everybody in the sport saw that, there was obviously a huge tremor that ran across the sport, and the feedback I'm getting mostly is that because you're on it and because your name is behind this, there's a lot more, I think, street cred, so to speak. A lot of people are. One text I got was they actually believe in the event because Cliff's behind it now. And I have to agree. I know you pretty much almost my whole life. And if you're going to be involved, you're going to give it your all and something good's going to happen. So just tell us about the US Open.
Well, that's a nice compliment. Thank you. So I wouldn't be involved at all if I didn't think it had the potential to be great. And one of the biggest components is the director. Like, there's not been a Doug Gannum since Doug Gannum, right? And he ran the US Open, and I thought that there would be a dozen people around the country that would copy him. And so my friend Jeff Collins, he runs the Missouri Winter Games, and I've been there. He has multiple sports at multiple locations simultaneously and over a couple weeks, and there's 3,000 people in it. And when I'm there, racquetball is one of the events. It's just a small part of it in the past, but he's cool as can be, and he does it professionally. He does it great. He has great volunteers. He's just a rock solid human, and he loves racquetball, and he knows that for the sport to have any chance of a comeback or to have any credibility itself, it needs a major event. I mean, racquetball needs a lot of things to heal, right? To come back at all. Needs more juniors, needs more amateur, needs everything right now. And this is just one thing that I can be a part of and hopefully help. And, I have all sorts of ideas for all the other parts of the game and what's been wrong and what's been right. And I never say much about it because I'm not willing to do it myself or able to do it myself. So that's why I don't really point a whole lot of fingers. But this US Open, I think, is crucial and fun. And I know as a player, it was the one of the greatest things that ever happened to the sport, right? So that's when, I mean, we were having fun and traveling the world, and it was great, and the money was getting better and better, and we were there probably at the peak of that. And then when you added the U.S. Open, it was a whole new ball game. And I don't think just for players it's great. I think for the amateurs to see the players, for the amateurs to play, even the amateur divisions get more serious, right? I think, like open players, enter the elite at the US Open and all the way down. It just
Mhm.
everyone wants to win that one at all levels. And I think that the players, there's more money on the line, and it's called the US Open, and players play harder, players play better. It's just a better event. And this location that we have it was called SMSU, where they had a team.
Sure.
There's a dozen courts, all glass back wall. Two of them have glass sidewall and back wall with a little pavilion in the center. And where we want to put the show court is very close by, a walking distance, as is the hotel. For anyone who's played in Houston at the Nationals, it's very similar. Pavilion down in the middle, square hotel all the way up. So when you look out your room, you look over the balcony, you can see who's there. And I think that that's what was one of the things that made Houston such a great tournament, is that everybody stayed together. Minneapolis was spectacular, and Memphis was spectacular, but there was, a dozen different hotels, and then people split up, and once they leave, they don't get back together. So this has all of the makings potentially of being a great, great event all the way around.
You said Doug Gannum and everybody, anybody in the sport that knows anything, we call it the Gannum US Open. And if I if I'm correct, I think it costs four to $500,000 to pull off an event like that. I think you guys
Hmm.
touched on that. How are you going to do this? How are you guys going to do this and go get three, four, 500,000 so that it isn't just another tournament in a club and it actually becomes now maybe the Cliff US Open or the Jeff US Open, and it's a real US Open like you just talked about that made it different for everyone. That feeling, I remember when I walked into Memphis that first US Open, I actually felt like a professional athlete and said, this is now the Super Bowl of racquetball. How do you do
Hmm.
that? And I guess the question is, it's about money. So what's the
Yeah.
plan on going to get three to $500,000?
Yeah. Well, it's a great question, and that's the final piece because we have everything else lined up. We have the venue rented, we have the spot for the portable court, and now we need the money. And I'm hoping to, you know, I've had some people reach out to me, and I've reached out to some other people, from the past that now have, their companies are even bigger than they were when I knew them a while ago. And, I'm really hoping, I don't know if you want to call that lucky, because I don't know, racquetball's not quite as popular as it was. I still also think it's a good investment, if somebody wants to get year-round advertising.
Why is it
I'm
why
hope
is it a good investment? How is that a good
Well,
investment?
I think you know, in conjunction with all of the other governing bodies, USAR, IRT, LPRT, um, if they all participate in, just say, one company decides to be the title sponsor, they all participate and they all help promote that brand, not just at the one event, but prior and after. And I know we've talked about, not just at that event, if someone is a title sponsor, that their name and logo can go, say, at other tournaments. I won't name specific tournaments because it's not positive yet, but like say the junior nationals or the USAR nationals, so they can be part of. They're not going to just get one weekend. Okay, so it's going to be a full year advertisement. So if somebody actually wants to advertise their company around the country, that's what they'll get. Um, I have some other ideas, and you just tell me what you think. I'm hoping to get 100 people that are crazy about this game, that have been crazy about this game, that love the sport, they want to see it do better. I'm hoping to get 100 people to donate $1,000, and that's gets us the portable court. It's 100 grand to get the court there, to get the staff there beforehand, to keep the court there, and then to break the court down and ship it back. That's what it costs, at least. So, what do you think of that idea, Suds?
Yeah, I think, I don't think that money is a problem in racquetball. The money's there.
Hmm.
You and I know
Yeah,
that we've
yeah.
been
There's plenty of
blessed
people. Yeah,
to know that there's plenty of people with plenty of money.
yeah.
What I've encountered and my
Hmm.
concern is the donor fatigue.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
you and I we know and have been involved with some of the biggest donors to ever be, I think, part of the sport in
Hmm.
many different ways. And I think that the struggle is it's an ask, right? Every time we go,
It
it's an
is.
ask. It's an ask.
Hmm.
And when I say, well, what about the ROI? Or if we're going to go ask, or you're going to go ask,
Hmm.
because yeah, there's certainly 100 people with $1,000. There's no doubt. That's
No doubt.
easy.
Yeah.
It's actually easy to me. I think that's the easy part. Um, but again, it's an ask. So now is it more of an ask of, I don't know what's going to come of this. Here's what we want to, present. Here's what we want. We want this
Hmm.
US Open, this Gannon style US Open. Um, just donate it, because that's kind of where I feel we're at now, Clavin. It's more of a,
Yeah.
hey, I don't know where this is going to go. I don't know if there's an ROI on this, but like,
Yeah.
if you love racquetball, give me $1,000 bucks. We'll see what happens. If it's
I
going to
know.
change your life to lose that thousand, don't give it to me. I don't
Yeah.
want it.
Exactly.
Um, I think that kind of approach might be better than painting this picture, because we know this, right? Like, there's so much negativity about the sport's dead. It's not going anywhere. So it's okay. Well, do you want to help or not? You want to be part of this,
Yeah.
and I think the money. I don't think that's a problem. I think that's a realistic goal right there. I think you can
Yeah.
easily, almost easily, but it's a grind. Got to go work.
It's
You
a
got to
grind.
do it. You got to
Yeah,
start now. And I don't think I don't see you not being able to do that. I think you can do that.
yeah,
But then you still need another
yeah. You still need a lot more.
300.
That yeah, yeah. Need another 300. Absolutely. So
Are you planning on looking for title sponsors? Does Jeff Collins
yes,
have any experience with that? Okay,
he does. He has experience with it. He also has a few major companies right in Springfield. Bass Pro Shop is their worldwide
perfect.
headquarters, are right there.
Sure.
Uh, there's a couple others that I don't recall the name. Trucking company and O'Reilly Auto Parts. So like that's
Big.
another. I'm hoping we get them right away, and then
Right.
that's another reason I really want the tournament to happen. It also obviously for the sport. But if we find a way to make it happen, even if it requires that idea that I just had right there, and they see it and it's all over the news all week long, and then maybe the next year, Bass Pro Shops or O'Reilly Auto Parts. I don't know. I hope that we manage to pull this one off, and I hope we get lucky and we get one of those companies right away. So we'll see.
Is the plan to do it? I think the successful model was, I've said this before, Claves. I always ask this. You touched on it earlier. You said that the US Open is, I'm not sure, but I'll use my words. To me, it's the most successful event racquetball's ever had by far, the Gannon US Open style.
Absolutely. Yes.
The funny thing is, and I ask this question, it's like a fun test. Who owns the US Open? USA Racquetball, right?
Yeah.
But Doug Gannon clearly did it his way. He said, I'm going to do it my
Yeah.
way, stay out of my way.
hmm
Let me do it. I'll be accountable for if it's good, if it succeeds or if it fails. Is that the approach you and Jeff have? Are you doing it? No red tape, no need to answer to people. You're making the decisions. Get it done.
Yes, we've leased the name for the year, and
Good.
then we're hoping to do it another three. And we are Jeff and I are calling the shots. We're making the decisions.
Good. I think
A
that's a good
hundred
thing. How
percent.
about the tours? Are the tours committed? Have you spoken with them?
I've had brief conversations with both, with TJ and with Dave Negretti, and
Great.
in close contact with Stuart Solomon with the USAR. And we all seem to be on board. Everyone. I mean, I don't know how anybody wouldn't be on board. I mean, we
Agreed.
haven't had
Yeah,
a
if you
U.S.
love
Open in a
racquetball.
few years. It was a
Sure.
little bit of a bumpy start, I got to say, but we've have that ironed out, and I think Stuart taking over really really helps. And Dave being there now, like he was
Stewart
spectacular
taking
to
over
talk
what?
to.
I'm sorry. You said Stewart taking over
USAR
what?
as
Okay.
the president of the USAR. Yep.
Okay.
So he lives right down the street from me, and we work well together. So I'm hoping with everybody's now on the same page, and now we have everything ironed out except the money. Now we got to get the cash.
Okay, Claves, I'll leave you with this on the US Open. If you do it in 2026,
Yeah.
will it be a Gannon style US Open or might it just be another tournament with the US Open title on it?
No, I call Doug regularly now. I want it to be as much like Doug's as possible, and any of his ideas to make it even better, if possible. I mean, because Jeff is there, an experienced event coordinator, it's very possible. I mean, I couldn't do that stuff. Yeah, Jeff and Doug are in a league of their own, in my opinion, and I've seen them both do it. So I want it to be as good as possible. Can I add something about the U.S. Open? I don't know if you were going to get to this at all, but a few things I'd like to do differently, and I've spoken to them a little bit, and nothing confirmed, but I prefer 3 out of 5 to 11 win by two. I think 2 out of 3 is boring and too brief. There's no wars, there's no drama. Um, Doug originally had that idea because there was no tiebreakers because Kane was winning in three all the time. So like a Super Bowl, if the best team doesn't always win because it's just one game. If it was 4 out of 7, Patriots probably would have beat the Giants a couple more times, right? But they didn't, and so that's over. I whether someone wins in straight games or not, I want the opportunity of a 3 4 hour match, and so that's one thing. Another thing I want to do is I want to have performance bonuses. I want um, obviously this is
Ju- Just like
go ahead.
UFC. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Just like
yeah.
UFC. I've been saying this for years. Yep.
I want, the prize money will be a good motivator as it is. People will want to earn that money, but I don't really see quite enough these days. I want to see people pour their hearts out like life or death. I mean, I know there's a lot of reasons that the seats aren't filled at all pro events right now. I think I love watching. But it doesn't matter that I love to watch. We want, like, if there's new people there, we want them to be talking about it. We want them to bring their friends the next day and the next year. And I want to see wars. And so do the people, so do the fans. I mean, I feel like we got more of that before. And I don't know if it's a culture thing, meaning like a just different times, people are just a little bit nicer to each other. I don't really know, but it's a sport, and I want to see people go at it, and I want to give them a bonus for it. And I think that'll be, if you win 10 grand first place, that's already there. But if they know they're gonna have a performance bonus and a player of the day or players of the day or match of the day, that's what I want to see. And another little change is, before it would always we would always default to the highest seed on the main court. I want to put what I think is going to be the best match for the fans. I don't care if it's a woman or a man or Kane or Maria Vargas or whoever is about to put the most people in the seats. That's what I want to see. That's what will be there.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I've always said that any of the tournaments I run, all the events I run, um, I have the tournament committee, and the tournament committee is me. And I think that there needs to always be a decision made in the best interest of the event. And I shouldn't say me.
Hmm.
It's actually in the events I do. It's Veronica and I, and Leo is a big part of that
Yeah,
too.
but I know what you
But yeah,
mean.
we're
Yeah.
we're 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 going to make those hard decisions. The only argument is you say Kane, right? And he's kicking everyone's ass, and but he does put seats in there. I actually don't, Clave. My new approach is I don't think it's about the people there at the event. And what I mean by
Not
that
at
is
all. Yep.
those eyeballs are so limited. I mean, you and I, again, we're so fortunate. We played probably in front of the biggest crowds ever in racquetball because you could get, the way it was situated. It was 1,000 people, around that court when you and I were playing. And I don't know if we can replicate that, and I don't think that matters because the truth is, 1,000's not a lot. It's all about like devices, right? It's all about
Yeah.
online streaming, television. I would say you need to create this optical spectacle and create something so incredibly cool to see on TV and watch. And that's why, to your point, I agree 100% that whatever the main match is doesn't necessarily mean the highest seed. It's what
Yeah.
match you or your committee believes is in the best interest of the event to be shown at that moment. I'm with you. I'm all about that.
Yeah.
Again, and
And
I'm
if there's
also
any, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, yeah, I love the performance bonus. UFC does fight of the night, and for those of you that don't know, it's basically it could be any fight. It could be the two of the most unknown people, but they give it their all, and they go out there and fight and bleed, and they're just in a battle and a war. And Dana White, the president of UFC, awards them. I think Leo, is it like $50,000 fight of the night? Something. I think Leo's there in the
Yeah, they do
background.
50 for several of the fights.
Yeah, so
Performance,
so
fight of the night.
Yeah,
I,
if things
Great
I,
go
idea.
well, I wanna spread it around, and
I love it. I
I
think
wanna
that's a great
I wanna
idea.
motivate them.
I love that. Okay, well then, let's go to I'm going to change gears here a little bit because we're getting to that timeline, that clock. Today's players, Clavin, can you
Hmm.
motivate them from what you've seen, the men and the women? Are they can you motivate them? What are the differences?
Um, Maybe it'll take a couple bucks, but I think there's guys out there that play hard. And Jake is one of the guys I work with, and I kind of leaned on him a little bit about just playing a little bit more, like your life depends on it, and he did recently, and he won. And I I think money's a great motivator. I think that if I have a feeling if we do that, it'll come from some of the younger guys, but you never know. I hope it comes from all of them, really. I don't know. Do you think you can motivate them?
No, I think it's societal. I think that they've been conditioned differently. I think you might get an occasional surprise. Yeah, money should be a motivator, but let's be honest, and I speak for myself. When I was out there doing it, whether it's walking across the street playing a game of one-on-one basketball, or going on the golf course, or playing you and racquetball, or whatever it was, I was never motivated by the money. And in fact, for me, I just wanted to compete and be better. And the money was great, and I think as we got
Yeah,
older, we needed it. But I think it's societal. It's like, how many of these
yeah,
guys have actually gotten a fist fight? How many of them have rolled around, and what it's actually like to feel uncomfortable and be in a situation that it's not about anything else about other than accept what you have inside of you. And I just don't know. I don't know. I think it's society. I think it's changed a lot.
yeah,
We would have to find ways. And I tell you, I think that's a big reason why we see Kane still kicking ass, in the men's tour. I think, he came from a mold of, hockey player and all that other stuff. Grew up with you, grew up with me, and, playing the sport in a place where you couldn't be weak mentally or physically. So let me ask you that. You said younger players. Any young racquetball players that have jumped out at you, surprisingly? I've told the story many times about when you called me over in Chicago and Kane was on the court. And I remember it like it was yesterday. And you and I were probably going to play in the finals that weekend, which I don't think we did, which was surprising at the time. And Kane was on the court and you called me over, and we didn't like talking to each other much, you and I, during the event, because we were planning on going to war on Sunday. And
yeah. I don't see a
you
hint of that.
s-
Go on.
you pointed to Kane on the court. Neither one of us knew him really well. You said, "What do you think?" I think I watched 3 points next to you. I looked at you and I said, "He reminds me of us." And you just nodded your head, and that was it. Is there anyone that gives you that effect at all today that you see? Hey, I see something there.
Yeah, I see. I'm not really great with the names. I see a ton of talent. Like Jonathan Flores and Cole Sendry from here. Yeah, I see ton of talent, ton of ability. What I really want to see is, even if the quality isn't, I don't know if it's as high as what you speak of yet, but really, I just see too much racket tapping on the ass. I see too much holding up. Like when the guy's maybe in the way and maybe isn't, and you hold up instead of just letting it go, and maybe hits him in the back, and maybe it doesn't. Um, you know, Too much of that. Like say, Ben Croft is a great example to me. Like he and I aren't best friends. We're never going out for a beer together, that's for sure. But when he was playing, if I could, I was there to watch him. I wanted to see what he would do. He was an animal out there. Effort wise, is I just him. I mean, he never. I don't even know if he cracked the top eight. I'm not sure, but he put people in the seats, and his effort was off the charts. The diving, smashing his face off the glass, like because he's going for the ball. Period. And then on top of it, the things that would come out of his mouth were, he got more technicals than probably, yeah, than a lot of people combined. Like I completely inappropriate at times. If they were all like that, if we were all like that, that would have been bad. But a few of them, great. Um, what I'm saying is, all the guys that play a little bit of different style and they're easygoing and they care just as much, maybe. But the tapping on the ass with the racket and the, helping each other up off the court, there's just too many of them like that right now. It's boring. And I don't know. I appreciate the skill. I sit there and watch, and I watch happily, but that's not what everybody wants to see. I just want to see more of it because that's what's good for the game. That's I want more people back in the seats. I want more people to care about putting up money to make more tournaments. And I think racquetball is exactly the same game it was, minus a few miles per hour. The decline of racquetball is not because of the court size or the ball speed. I refuse to believe that. I think it's a better game than tennis, pickleball, squash for just the average person to pick up and hit around. You play tennis and the ball's all over the place. Play squash, the ball doesn't bounce. You play pickleball, it's like playing ping pong. And I love them all because it's competition, but I just think racquetball is a spectacular game for two people that aren't very athletic or they're new to the game. The ball kind of comes back to you. It's an amazing workout. It's easy to play, super difficult to be great at, and I think both of those things make racquetball a great game. So that's why I want to do a US Open, to do my part to help keep it alive.
Love it. All right, I'm going to end this with rapid fire, Clavin.
Yep.
We didn't talk
Go
about
ahead.
this. I'm going to say something. You're just going to respond as quick as you can, and we're going to move on. First thought that comes to your brain. Okay.
Okay.
Oh boy, is this
Oh God.
unfiltered? Here we go. I can't wait.
Sorry, guys. Impromptu. Ready?
Yeah.
Red Sox.
Yankees. I've always been a Yankees fan.
Tom Brady.
The GOAT. Greatest ever all time. Love his style. That's what I'm looking for in a racquetball court at the US Open. Just someone who pours their life into it and shows up like an absolute animal to play. They care about nothing more than that day.
Pickleball.
It's like fun, it's I don't know. I have nothing against it. It's like easier than ping pong. Nice to play outside and get some sun.
U.S. Open.
Greatest event in the history of racquetball. Thanks to Doug Gannon, and hopefully 2026 meets his standards.
Cliff Swain. It's always a pleasure. You've been teaching me shit for my entire life. I appreciate it. I say it all the time. I wouldn't have been the racquetball player I am without you. So thanks for being here, and we'll chat later.
Well, just so you know, I was before you came along, I was ready to retire because I don't know, I just wanted to go do something else great. And then when I saw you hit a ball, I'm like, oh, I think I'll stick around for a few more years and go to war for a few years. And that's exactly what we did. And I loved every second of it. And then I was ready to pack it in again. And then Kane came along, and okay, let's see how old I can get and still play. So I hope I see some of the men and women on the tour have that same passion.
Let's hope so. All right, buddy. See you
Okay.
later.
All right, take it
Thanks.
easy. See you.